Hi dear doctors, welcome to 𝗲𝗵𝗵𝗵. I am Dr. 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗺 and I am your pediatric faculty. See, now we are entering into the heart of the child. Okay, so entering into the heart of the child means we are starting with the cardiovascular system, and cardiovascular system is extremely important when it comes to pediatrics because by the years it has been a trend that congenital heart diseases are, they are very much seen nowadays in children, right? So let's begin with the cardiology class, and pediatric cardiology will be divided into 4 parts. In the first part, we'll discuss what are the long QT syndrome and what is the difference between cyanotic and acyanotic defects. Then we'll discuss about the acyanotic diseases like ASD, atrial septal defect, VSD, ventricular septal defect, PDA, patent ductus arteriosus. Next comes the endocrine cushion defect, that's the AV septal defect, and of course the aortic coarctation in the end. Then in the third part, we'll discuss about the cyanotic heart diseases like tetralogy of Fallot, transposition of the great vessels, tricuspid atresia, truncus arteriosus, total anomalous pulmonary venous return. So if you see carefully, all the cyanotic heart diseases are starting with the letter T, alright, plus one, that is the Epstein's anomaly, okay. So all these are the cyanotic heart diseases. So all the cyanotic heart diseases are starting with the word T plus one, that is Epstein's anomaly. Now why they are cyanotic, why not? Of course, everything I'll discuss in detail with you. And in the end, the last part we'll be discussing, that will be Hinosh-Nolan purpura. Okay. Now Hinosh-Nolan purpura actually is a vasculitis. It's not a structural heart disease. So better it is kept at the end. Okay. That's not a heart disease, but it's a vasculitis. But I have covered in the CVS classes only. Now, what do you mean by congenital long QT syndrome? So understand, long QT syndrome, these are the pediatric conditions which are going to affect the myocardial repolarization. Now understand, in the this is the P wave, this is the QRS wave, and of course the T wave and everything. So P wave, QRS wave, and the T wave which is there. So increase QT interval means what? Increase QT interval means that, so increase QT interval means what? Increase QT interval means that the ventricle repolarization is occurring slowly. Okay, slowly means now it is taking more time. Okay, so congenital QT syndrome is a pediatric condition which is affecting the myocardial repolarization. All right, so what are the things which are, what are the syndromes which are associated with them? So one is going to be the Rett syndrome. So Rett syndrome is the congenital cause of prolonged QT interval. So this is the congenital cause of prolonged QT interval. Whereas if you ask me for the acquired causes of long QT interval, these are generally by the drugs. Now this has been asked n number of times. Which of the following causes increase in QT interval? So one is going to be tricyclic antidepressant, and antidepressants and antipsychotics are belonging to the same chapter in pharmacology. So one is going to be the tricyclic antidepressant. Next is going to be the 𝗲𝗵𝗵𝗵. So 𝗲𝗵𝗵𝗵 is an antipsychotic drug. Next, antiarrhythmic drug, that is going to be the amiodarone, and antibiotics such as macrolides, they are all responsible for the same. So very easy and simple to remember, QT for tricyclic antidepressant, then macrolide. Macrolide means, macro means prolonged. So remember, prolonged QT coming from macrolides. Next are only two, Z, that is 𝗲𝗵𝗵𝗵, and that can be remembered because I have told you that tricyclic antidepressants and of course antipsychotics, they come hand in hand. And amiodarone, just you have to remember that amiodarone is also responsible for increase in the QT interval. Now there is something which is called as Torsades de Pointes. Now what is Torsades de Pointes? If you see pattern of ECG like this, this is a Torsades de Pointes, where once the waves are going to get increased and then there is a decrescendo. So crescendo, decrescendo is going to come. This is Torsades de Pointes. This is a ventricular tachycardia. It is a classical arrhythmia which is associated with long QT syndromes. And of course, there are some drugs like propranolol, like notalol. So propranolol and notalol are the non-selective beta blockers. All right, so they are also helpful to treat these conditions. Why? Because prolonged QT interval means that the QT interval is prolonged. That means the repolarization is delayed. Okay, the repolarization is delayed. So in order to in order to correct this delayed repolarization, we give propranolol, we give notalol. So what is nadolol? So what is going to happen? Of course, the AV node will be, the beta 1 receptors will be blocked over the heart, and the heart rate itself is going to get decreased, so that only the QT is not delayed, entire heart rate is delayed. So entire heart is going to get enough amount of time to get repolarized, and of course there will be no arrhythmia. Okay. Sotalol is the only beta blocker that is contraindicated. Why? Because it is a class 3 antiarrhythmic and it further prolongs the QT interval. Okay, so the class 3 antiarrhythmic, if I'm not wrong, these are the potassium. This has something to do with potassium channel, and that potassium is responsible for repolarization. So sotalol is the drug which we never give, because it's a class 3 antiarrhythmic and has gotten side effect of prolonging the QT interval. Okay, so what are the drugs? Tricyclic antidepressant, ziprasidone, amiodarone, okay, and of course macrolide, and one more which I have told you just now is going to be sotalol. So if the medical management is not useful, so what we do? We do a pacemaker placement plus a beta blocker is started. Okay. Why? Because the heart is not functioning properly, so it might lead to decreased brain perfusion, syncope, seizure. All these things can be there. And in the adults as well as in some pediatric cases, for Torsades de Pointes, MGSO4 is the drug of choice. So now you are in better condition that whenever a pediatric patient comes to you, you check for the ECG. If the ECG is showing prolonged QT interval, my dear friends, you can definitely start with the beta blockers, and examples I have given you. Plus, please remember that you'll never give sotalol, right? So thank you so much for joining us in this video. Of course, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.